Hey guys, so welcome back again. So continuation of last video where I sort of ended off a bit blank. I forgot to make a little ending piece because I was too busy trying to get out here to go get the young fry from school. But we were pissing around with the brakes and I'd climbed up here to have a look. There's quite a bit of stuff up there. There's a few actual rods and linkages, but I'm not sure what they're for. I don't know if they're for this particular car. I need to talk to the guy who owns this stuff and just go up there with him and have a wee look at some bits and pieces. I think because there's some other cars up there. I think some of them are Studebakers and some of them are something else. I think there's probably enough bits up there for, there's parts up there for a couple of cars. And then there's also the one out there. So I'm not 100% sure about these rods yet. So we'll work that out at some point shortly. Whether it's today or not, I don't know. So I've got that anyway to sort out. I'm just trying to work out what I'm sort of doing today. What else have I got? I've got that switch and stuff here, that old starter switch. I might have a brief look at that and just clean up a few other bits and pieces. And if I happen to run in the owner today at some point, I'll have a yarn to him and just see if he knows a bit more what some of that stuff is up there. He may know, may not. I just don't want to drag stuff down and then it's not it, because there's actually about 3 or 4 rods joined together. I don't know if they're meant to be like that or whether they've just put them together like that. They could be off something else that's got a similar sort of braking system. A lot of those old cars either had internal linkages or internal bands or external bands on brake drums. Because I know the rugby at home, it's all mechanical brakes, but it's got, I think all the brakes are on the insides of the drums, and it's got front and rear brakes. It's like 29 or whatever it is, but it's still mechanical. It doesn't have like fluid brakes or juice brakes, as everybody seems to call that, like the earlier stuff, when they're starting to get into the 30s, when they started developing, brake fluid type brakes. Anyway, so everything I've done today, I've started dragging a few more of my tools here. Eventually at some point I'll do some like toolbox videos and bits and pieces. So I've got that here, because I don't really need all my tools at home. Dad's got plenty of stuff. If something I have particularly need that I've got here, I can always grab it from here and take it back home and use it and bring it back or whatever. And I bought some of my socket sets here. Actually 2 of them normally live in that box. It's just too bloody heavy for me to lift by myself with them in there. So I took a little bit of stuff out. So I need to go back through some stuff and organise some stuff. But yeah, I bought the majority of my tools here, and there's still a little bit of stuff at home which I'll, over the next week or so, when I get a chance, I'll go out to the shed and have a bit of a clean up and sort out and just figure out, because my stuff's named, and well, I wouldn't say it's all named, but like a lot of the spanners and stuff are all named. So I need to just go through and just make sure that I have got everything there, because we've had stuff out from one or the other toolbox, just working on stuff, depending on what we're doing. Sometimes we needed 2 or 3 things. So I need to just go back through and just make sure that all that stuff's there, from what I can remember. And I'll just double check Dad's toolbox or toolboxes and make sure none of my spanners are in there, and vice versa. So yeah, now you're going to do that. But anyway, I'll get myself sorted out and we'll get into something here. I might have another little play with that other little ball bearing sprung loaded thing bracket for this setup. I think I know what this is for. I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, but I think this is for the what do you call it, the vent that's in the cow. I'll show you. Pretty sure it's for this. So that, I think, screws on the firewall. I could be wrong. and then you would push this with your foot to open it. It could be for something else, but I think it's for that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it's for. Which would make sense because it's got like sort of 4 positions, so you could just crack it open a little bit, or you can have it right open type thing, and it'll hold there. I'm guessing that's what it's for. I can't really sort of think of anything else it would be for. It sort of sits in there. That's at the bottom, and you'd better push it backwards and forwards with your foot, which is kind of handy, I suppose. It's another one on Dad's rugby. It's got one, but it's basically it's either open or it's closed. It's got like a sprung-loaded just lever. You just push it forward underneath. It's underneath the dash, and you just push your hand, put your hand on it, and just push it forward, and it just pops it up. So it's got it's either open or closed. Whereas I can imagine a studebaker, with it being a bit higher up in the food chain, and a bit more advanced, I suppose. As far as it's a bit like a difference between a Toyota and a Lexus. It's the same thing, but it's whereas this might, I suppose a fancy thing. I've got the cowl with the 4 positions on it, so you can have it just crack open a little bit to get a little bit of air through. If it was hot, but you didn't want a big rush of air, especially if you had like a top up or something like that, or you want a little bit of, or you want a lot of air coming in if it's really, really stinking hot. So that was basically air conditioning, I suppose, apart from having the top down and the windows off. But yeah, so I'd imagine I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. But we need to see if we can get this ball. It should be sitting proud here, I would have thought. It is free now, I think. Yeah, it's free-ish. It's not real free, but it's free-ish. But I would imagine that it's meant to stick proud. By, I don't know, 1/16 or an 1/8 or an inch or something around about there, like a 2 or 3 mil, 4 mil side type thing. I'd imagine it's meant to sit quite proud looking at that. So if you can imagine, like it's going to have to stick up a fair way to create some sort of resistance so you actually know where it's meant to be. So we have to keep working on that. It may never come up. I don't know. That might be one of those things that you might have to actually modify. You could probably machine out the back of it, get the guts out of it, it may need a new spring or something in there, and then, machine a little plug that you can screw in there and then shave it off. So if you ever wanted to get in there before, again, to fix something, you'd actually screw it out. That's a possibility. You could machine it, screw, put a thread in there, and then you could want like a grub screw in and out of there, tight a grub screw in there. So at least if you wanted to get in there to replace the spring or whatever, or the ball, or if it did happen to seize up again, somebody can get in there with an Allen key and pull that out and free the ball up. So that's a possibility if it come to that. Like we could soon find make it so it works again. But I don't know, even with heating maybe it might have lost its tension on its spring and now hasn't got as much pushback for trying to free it up. But it's been stuck down in there like that for a long time. It was never any further up than that, so yeah. It is free, but it's not very, if you know what I mean, like it's very slack. So I guess its spring lost all its tension with over the years, and me probably heating it up probably hasn't helped. But we'll work on that. All these little things that you just, when something's 100 years old or close to it, nothing's like new anymore. You got to try and make it as close as you can to new. But anyway, we'll get into something. I'll work out what I'm going to do and I'll come back to you. Alright, so what I decided to do, I was going to throw this handbrake in there. Or whatever you want to call it. See if I can piece some of these bits together. So we got it there to there. So what I need to do work out now, I'll have a quick look at the photos that I've got, and I'll just see, without going to have a look under the anything, and just see which one of these brackets, pulley bracket setups. So I've got this one, and I've got this one. Let's see which one's meant to be where. So we're going to work it out. So I'll come back to you. I'll give this one a clean up at some point. We'll work out which one's meant to be where. Right, so I sandblasted that and it had some sort of like sticky crap on here, so I've just scraped it off. I might give it another wee blast, but I'll test fit all this crap first before I give it another blast. But I actually wish I had a wire wheel here for a grinder or something, but I'll just give these bolts a sandblast up so I know the nuts run off and on easy enough. Then I'll throw that on there because that's where that cable comes down from the over that pulley from the handbrake or the park brake or emergency brake lever, and it goes down past this one. The other one must be further underneath the car somewhere, so I'll get these couple bolts cleaned up and get that on there. Yeah, and then we'll have a play around with that. I might have a bit more play with that stuff underneath the car, see if I can piece it a bit more together properly. Also need some Woodruff keys, you know, those like half moon little bits of steel that you put on a shaft and then it holds like a gear steady. I need a heap of that sort of stuff. So, but anyway, we'll get back to it and talk to you shortly. Right, let's pop this little thing on here. Get myself into contortionist position again. Right, so we got the cable down there and there through those holes. Check it out. This is what I'm guessing is where I think it goes. Not sure. I could be completely wrong. Could be completely wrong. So, there's another pulley. Where does that go? I wonder. It's only got one bolt on it there too. So it could be anywhere. There you are. It's close to being the right length, depending on what it hooks up to. So, another little bit of the piece puzzle done. We'll do some more. Alright, one underneath here. I was going to look to see where we can figure out where this goes. But I haven't really got a clue. The cable comes back about this far. Let's see. Cable comes back to about here, and that's, you can see where these pieces are. So it's about I don't know, foot shorter there, I suppose, thereabouts. There's not really places that thing could bolt onto. There's two or three, you know, there's a few holes amongst the side piece. It's either pointing up or down or sideways. for this cable to run through. That bit. Like, I'm not really sure. Like, there's a bolt hole there. You know, it could have been something like that. Well, there's a couple of holes up in here, but I suspect they're probably to hold the floor down. Don't really know. Like, I can't imagine it could have been like that. Type sort of thing, but you know, it may have been up here somewhere. But you're not really sure. Like, I don't know if this is full length. Probably is, but I don't know. So yeah, it's one of those puzzles. I was going to piss around and do the back brake shoes, but I've got to take the wheels off, so put them on. Because I was just going to sit them on there so I could get a bit better idea how long these are meant to be, these rods. Just work that stuff out, but yeah. So I've got to pull the wheels off. So what I might do is just, I've got a rough idea how long they're meant to be. So we just need to find that stuff so we can work out the rest of this cable set up for the park brake, whatever. So we'll work that out. That's even if it's meant to hook onto here, because I was actually just having a look. The gearbox has got a brake on it. So that's not to say that the later model ones had the cable go to the back wheels, where this had the brake on the gearbox. I don't know. So this could possibly have gone across to the back of the gearbox. I'll show you, actually. That's a good point. Because what, yeah, like where the gearbox is here. Alright, there's the gear lever hole. There. The floor. This cable's about that long, so it's not to say that this didn't go and then hook onto a cable lever here, which is quite feasible. So yeah, it may have been a tail shaft brake. We'll have a look at that. That's a possibility. It's quite a possibility. So just looking at it before and thinking, oh yeah. So yeah, I actually thought it might have come back to here, to the where the brake setup went, but it might not be. Now think about it. That's what I thought it would have been, but maybe it's not. That's the thing, I don't know. That's why it'd be nice to look at one of these other cars. It's not in a million, well, buried in the grass and shit all over it, and in actually good condition. Yes, it's quite possible. It is quite possible. It could be too. So it releases. It could be. Could be working on that. No. Could be more to that. This is your clutch sort of setup was on it. So yeah, that's not to say here that handbrake cable doesn't go to there. So, not we're only about about a foot back from here. So in this sort of vicinity where that cable would hook around and hook onto that somehow, which is quite a possibility too. Yes, very awkward not being able to look at something that's in better condition and not buried in the grass. Like if you had that out of there and clean, had it cleaned up and all the broken crap out of it, you could probably be able to see, but don't. But anyway, that might make more sense. I mightn't be looking for handbrake stuff to go back to there. But anyway, that's the joys of working on a puzzle. Alrighty, so I'm just having a quick look at this gearbox. It's actually got a key hole and where the gear lever is. It's obviously so you can obviously lock the gearbox up, lock the selector, I guess. So you can lock it in neutral and nobody can take it anywhere. I suppose it's sort of the first of the anti-theft devices, I suppose. So they're a club on the head when you see them. So it's free, free and neutral anyway. I'm guessing it's only probably a 3-speed. If you didn't even get it in here. Let's try and move the selectors. Yeah, move. Kind of. Something else we have to go all the way through and try and get moving. Probably pull apart and clean all these bits up. That'd be fun. And then I've also got the diff or differential. So we also need to probably obviously strip this down and clean it up. It's probably not something you're going to sandblast because it's too, like the tolerance in the gears and all that sort of stuff, and you don't want excess wear in there. So I'll need to just find out a little bit more about what you would do, because like all these gears and that are pretty, fortunately been sitting in moisture or dampness and it's all rusty. We might be just better clean it up with a wire wheel and all that sort of stuff and just take all the gunge and grime off it and give it a really, really good clean up. Obviously strip it down. But like it might need bead blasted or something like that to polish everything back up, bring it back to it's a nice clean surface instead of sandblasting where it would leave a coarse surface when you want more of a, not say ugly as sandblasting, like with moving gears and all that sort of stuff. Same with this, depending on what we find when we get inside it. Like if it's nice and clean, it'll be okay. We'll just clean up the rest of it and new bearings and whatever else and just check it all over and get it all free and running. But if it is a wee bit doggy on the inside, we might have to see what we can do with all the gears inside of it. But yeah, I don't know, that's probably how this brake thing works. I'm wondering if that cable was meant to go down underneath and pull down on this. Possibly, don't know. We'll work it out. Decided I might just pull a few bits and pieces off this, see if I can get this freed up and just clean some of these pieces, and then I'll put them back on it. I'm not sure how far I'll dig into it, but I'll definitely clean up this back brake stuff and just get it to the point where it's free and running. Because yeah, I need to figure out a bit more about some stuff here. So I'll work on something else until I find out a bit more stuff, and also till I figure out what these rods are for the back, whether there is some up there or not. And amongst that stuff that you can see up there, there's another cow off another one and bits and pieces. There's all sorts of stuff up there. But anyway, this is frozen, so I'm going to crank up the gas plant and just heat this up, see if I can get this free. Righty, so not sure if I did a video on this before, so I've cleaned that stuff up a bit. Just got the nut off the back of here. Fortunately it wasn't extremely tight, so I'll try and see if I can get this drum off the back, and then I can sandblast that, and then I'll see if I can get some of these other pieces off and just give them all a bit of a clean up, and then if I get a chance there, I'll assemble it back together. If not, I'll do it over the next couple of days so I don't forget how it's meant to go back together, even though it's fairly simple. It's not like something really modern where it's quite complicated. It's still fairly simple, but I don't want to leave it apart too long and then forget exactly how it went together. But that's also part of the reason why I do videos, because it helps. Sometimes you sort of look at something, oh, how'd that go back together? And you can go, oh yeah, go back through a video and you can see, oh yeah, that's the way it went around together. But anyway, we'll see if I can get this off. Fortunately, that came off too with a little bit just gentle persuasion. I just keep turning it and just keep tapping the drum with a hammer, just gently on the back side here, just dunk, dunk, dunk. I wasn't hitting hard, just enough to keep shocking it, just rattle it. So that's cool. So I got that off. Let's see if I can get this back housing off, and then we can give that a sandblast and I can strip this down. I'm just doing short bits because my videos on my phone's getting low on power. I can plug it in, I suppose, but yeah, it's getting low on power. Right, so I've given these pieces a quick sandblast. So I haven't done those 3 bolts yet. I'll do them when I do some other bits and pieces. I haven't done anything to do with that. But I'm just hitching the midst of just pulling the clutch fork assembly off it, or trying. So I managed to get that off under that bolt. Managed to gently get that off with just a little bit of persuasion. Haven't had to use any heat to get anything off. That shaft's quite free in there. So I'll see if I can get the rest of it out, and we'll come back to you. Right, so I've got all that out, and I've actually given it a light sandblast, and I just sprayed some CRC and everything. I might take that shaft home. I might just sit it in the lathe and just give it a polish up with a bit of 1000 or something like that, just so it's a bit smoother in these openings where it's, I think, just to give it a polish up basically. It's had 2 wood drift keys, or what do you want to call them, in there to locate the fork and the lever and the fork. So I've got that. I've just got a couple more little bits and pieces in here, a few bolts and bits and pieces. So I'll give them a clean up, and then I might, looking at, depending on what time's like, might pull this snout piece off the gearbox, and might pull that plate off and give that a clean up. And then basically it's take the gear selector off and give it a clean up, just to see how that goes. Well, I want to be fairly careful in there. I don't want to do too much to the shaft, to those gear selector shafts. But we'll try and clean everything up so it's nice and free and everything like that. That's free now, but we'll just see what it's like on the inside. Back end of it's pretty good. Might be odd thing to give it a tidy up. Like the gearbox a bit opposite eyes, but it's not too bad. Like this needs a bit of a clean up. Probably pull that or plug out and give it a clean up. But it's not too bad in here. I don't want to disturb too much. Like if it looks a bit shitty in there, like we'll give it a good wash out. We may need to replace the bearings and any that sort of stuff anyway. We'll just see what they look like. Because it has been sort of sitting half open for a while. I don't see any seal or anything in there, so I don't know whether they would have had one or not. I assume they would have, but you know how it was sealed, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's got any seal in it. So whether it's been apart before me playing with it, I don't know. I assume because some of these nuts weren't very tight. Nuts and bolts. Anyway. I might have a play with this front snout piece and do those, and then give all these bits a sandblast. So that's those few bits cleaned up. That come off easy enough. So there's no seal in there either, but it's got a what do you call it? Reverse like thread cut in there. So obviously when the oil comes out, it helps run back. I'm guessing. But obviously with the way the shaft spins, it makes it run back. I'm guessing that's how it works. But so yeah, that's that. So this shaft really needs a bit of a clean up too, on the front side of it. So we'll have to strip it down at some point and give that shaft a clean up. Like probably right, you could probably clean it up, just white brush it and clean it up and wash it all off and everything, but it'd be nice to have it a little bit cleaner than that. So yeah, I'll take, see if I can, how difficult it is to get these selectors off. I presume you just undo the 4 bolts and they just pop off or come off. I'll get something on there, get that out, give that a clean up, whip this off, whatever they are. Been a little bit of moisture in there, it's not bad. It's not too bad. A little bit of surface, but nothing that can't be cleaned out. But yeah, she's pretty simple in there. So it's just 2 basic forks. Shift these 2 things here just to select whatever gear you want. She's pretty basic in there. No fine teeth or anything. You know, she's all big chunky stuff. That's pretty, getting fairly worn. Hopefully that's alright, but But anyway, it's hard to move with one hand. But yeah, looks like it's, you know, an okay nick, I suppose. Just needs a clean up, really. Going through, just flush all the shit out of the inside of the box. Give it a really good clean up. And put it back together, check the bearings. All those sorts of things. Maybe get the case, the aluminium case like bead blasted or something like that, just so it's all nice and clean. But apart from that, yeah, should be right. Right guys, so I might have to leave you here for today. So we've stripped the ski box down. Made a bit of a discovery that realised that the handbrake system must go to the back of that gearbox, not back to the back wheels like I thought originally. But hey, I'm only guessing a lot of this stuff until, you know, I'd sort of look a bit more at things. I hadn't really studied the gearbox, I just knew it was over there. And I was like, oh okay, it's got a band on the back of it, maybe the handbrake goes to there, or the emergency brake. So yeah, I got that box down fairly well, cleaned some of it up. I might take a couple of pieces home. When I get home, I might polish a couple of bits up on the lathe, or just put them on the lathe and just use a bit of, you know, 600 or 800 or something like that, and just polish some of these, couple of these little surfaces up, especially like this one, like, because the release bearing and the clutch, I presume it's got one, will run on there, so that needs to be fairly clean and free. The rest of it's probably not too bad. Now, if any other thing I'll polish up will be this stage, is that. And I probably could do those brake ones as well in the back, but this is like runs inside that, well, just in there, so I just want to polish up where it's sitting in the box, in the alloy case, so at least it's nice and slippery and it's not just got the rough surface from the sandblaster on it. So I'll just pop it in the lathe and just run it for a bit and just give it a quick clean up, you know. 800 or 600 or something like that, it'll make it quite nice and smooth and shiny again, so at least it won't give any issues. So that's a couple of things I'll do there when I get home, but apart from that, I'm sort of buggered here for the day. I'm running out of time. I'll strip this down a bit more tomorrow, sort of clean it up a bit more, and then I'll probably just do a quick reassemble on it until we sort of get a wee bit further on. I might suss how that bolts onto it tomorrow. I think that might be a front engine mount, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think I was just looking at this earlier on. Could be wrong. Yeah, I reckon that goes down there. I'll show you in a second. Okay, well, pretty sure that goes down there. So where the crank handle would go through, if you had to crank start it. Obviously, you know, a lot of the cars back then had a crank start as well. So I'm guessing that was probably on there, and that probably helps support all that. So yeah, even though this has got electric starter, but yeah. So you need to suss out a few things like that. Still looking for those rods for the back brakes, but hopefully, you know, we'll find some of these things over the next few days. Whether it is up there, I don't know, but a little bit more investigation. We'll just slowly piece things together, and then we're probably not really a long way from starting to blow this apart, really. But I really need to have a look at this other complete car that's obviously in way better nick than that thing out there, and I can take a few photos and bits and pieces and just get a few more ideas and some things to finish things off. I've still got a bit of finishing work to do in around the back here, but I'm sort of trying to wait till I get to see that until I do a bit more. Like all the pieces in around here, and chop those off and do the braces that go on the body. Like, you know, it's just a few things I want to look at first before I dive in. But apart from that, I think that'll do for today's video. If I do any more on these, I might just throw it on the end of the video or something like that, but we'll catch you later on. Cheers.